So, welcome to the show, Dr. Niva and Rick Macci.
Good to be here.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, mate, it's an absolute pleasure. I've got to say, people listening on audio, they're not going to be able to see this, but my background is a mirror and a pair of curtains, whereas the background that you guys have got looks like it's got incredible tennis people on it.
Go ahead.
This is a wall of fame. It doesn't include me in it, but it's the wall of fame.
No, back there's a lot of stuff from the movie King Richard. Obviously, that was put a bow around that whole thing and told the true story. And that's a lot of stuff from the after party back behind.
Amazing. Well, it looks brilliant. Come on. Well, I mean, we're going to talk a lot about your guys' approach to tennis, your guys' approach to life, and the importance of the mental side of life, the mental side of the game, and how they all work together. The book is called $1 Billion Mind, and it's called that because of the belief that those who triumph over their minds can attain the value of $1 billion, irrespective of monetary wealth. So this is really a book for those looking to develop mental strength in the game of life, often through the lens of tennis. It is not out there it's not for those people looking to make $1 billion in a get-rich-quick scheme, but it is a great read. Now, I think one of the themes that really stands out for me through the book is the power of positivity. Dr. Niva, why is being positive so important?
That is just an excellent question. So positivity, right? I want to ask you a question. Have you ever seen anyone who's successful in life who's not positive? It's not possible. You cannot be successful without positivity, without being able to believe or have positive thoughts about yourself and your goals. So positive thoughts to me are like your best friend. And so positivity, there's no end to it. And you can there's infinite amounts of positivity you can have, and that positivity generates so much in terms of positive action. So I talk in the book about neuroscience and how there's sensory input and then motor output. So sensory input, if you have a lot of positive thoughts, that will give you, that's kind of like stopping our own brakes, and allowing us to succeed. So all that positivity allows us to do positive action, and that will allow us to, for instance, win or get the goals that we want, or make the interview that we want, or get the train on time, things like that. There's all that positivity gets us to where we want. I don't think anybody can succeed with negative thoughts. So
it's really interesting. It's so interesting because I sat there, our 11-year-old, who's called Ned, and we were at the national championships last week over in the UK, tennis, and we watched matches together, and he saw some players go into meltdown. And I said to him, did it help any of them? Did their level go up? And he really got it. He's an 11-year-old kid, but he's seeing that it doesn't help, does it? I mean, Rick, I know you share Dr. Niva's belief in that power of positivity and the power of simply having fun. And I know there's a quote in the book that I really love. There's so many quotes in the book that I love, but there's one that said, I've always tried to be very serious about the work that has to be done and taking ownership, but also in the way that I try to connect with players and motivate and inspire them. I always want it to be fun. I always want to create passion in them. And it's really interesting because in some performance programs, high performance programs, I don't think they always think that fun should be a big part of the algorithm. But, you've coached people like the Williams sisters, Andy Roddick, Maria Sharapova. Has creating a hardworking but fun environment always been the approach you take? And, and if so, why?
Yeah, first off, great question. And absolutely, that's kind of been the cornerstone ever since I've done this the last 45 years, and when you're having fun, okay, you're going to get the most out of people because they enjoy it, but then I got to back the truck up a little bit, how to say it, when to say it, why to say it, who to say it to, how I would talk to your kids might be different than a 22-year-old girl on the tour, but I pick and choose the spots. I know when to go for the jugular, but I know you got to make it fun, and you got to motivate people, and you got to inspire and educate. So, most people, when they're so rigid, it's more about them. And to me, I'm kind of like a woodpecker. I try to find an answer. Okay. And everybody has different buttons you got to push, not a wrong way or a right way. There's a better way. And so, but the positivity and the power of belief, I can put more confidence and courage in the players before they even think about it, let alone have it. Winning breeds winning and confidence breeds confidence. But I can get people to believe, and I can get people to achieve. And you can only do that when they're enjoying it. You got to pick your spots. You got to know when to kick them in the butt and all that stuff. But there's an art to this, and it's dealing with individuals, because that's what you're dealing with. It's not a system. It's everybody's a little different, but the way I go about doing it is going to be different depending on that day with that person.
Come on, Dr. Niva, I know you were a pupil of Rick's. Tell me, how much did you enjoy his lessons way back when?
I was just gonna chime in right there because I remember this moment. Like I'll never forget. I grew up in Georgia, and in Georgia is the hottest sun. I mean, humid, and it's hot here too. But I remember one of the coaches I had, and we were playing for 6 hours on a Saturday, like back and forth, volleys, overhead drills. I mean, back and forth, and it was draining and intense. And then I finally met Rick, later on in my career, my junior career, and I went to his academy. And the first thing I know, I mean, I forgot about the heat, I forgot about the intensity, because he has music. Like you don't know, where's the first time you're playing tennis with music? It's almost like you're dancing. It's the best experience ever. I never could, I didn't realize how important that was, but it was so fun. We still have music. So you realize those small things. I mean, I think Rick, you probably don't even realize what the other world is like. But it's so when you're playing tennis in the sun, there's no shade. In Georgia, I'm like dripping in sweat. I had to change my shirt. I was so sweaty and so hot. It was almost miserable and muggy. And that feeling was just kind of draining. And then you have someone like Rick. It's like, whoa, it's almost like a party, you're playing, you're working hard. You have to, it's all day long. You don't even realize it's all day because there's music and there's so much positivity and there's fun, there's jokes, and it's a lot of fun.
If I could chime in a little bit more on that, because this is such a powerful subject, the environment that a coach that you can create. And that's kind of what I did with Venus and Serena. Even when we talk about communication, even though they were 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years old, I never talked about other kids. I talked about Kingus, Navratilova, Steffi Graf. She would have got that. The whole thing in the mental part and to inspire, and just the way I go about doing this it's probably very different than anybody in the world. And that's probably why I still teach more than anybody in the United States. And I teach, 50 hours a week, 7 days still, and I love it just as much as I did when I started at 22. So at the end of the day, and people want to be around that. They want you, especially with younger kids, you got to extract greatness. One word can change a child's life, and especially with me, because obviously I kind of have the platform a little bit and some credibility there. When I say it, it's beyond powerful, but you got to mean it. You can't just be all rainbow, lollipop, and sunshine all the time. You got to pick your spots. But that's how I just keep raising the bar, and I get people to run faster, jump higher, think bigger. Besides all the mechanical, biomechanics and all that stuff, but the mental part. I'm more a life coach, in my opinion, than a tennis coach. People don't understand that. To get people, and Tommy Ho, who was probably the greatest junior player ever. He only got to 82 on the Pro Tour. He was the most dominant junior player ever. And when I got inducted to Hall of Fame, he said, Rick wrote me over 200 letters. And he got me to believe that I could do anything. And I'm sitting there going, wow, because he never told me that, but I didn't do it for any other reason.
Which coach writes any student their letters? I've never heard of that. That's like beyond insane, by the way.
I love that. And, the whole tennis is life. Life is tennis. The things that you can learn, the things you can inspire, and certainly coming back to the point, how music, a simple thing can change it to a party-like environment where you're willing to go that extra mile. You don't notice the sunshine. The book, the great points, guys. And I think the book really brings some brilliant techniques for how you can master that mental side of life. And I mean, Dr. Niva, to bring the power of the book to life for the tennis parents and players and coaches who are listening, can you tell us one technique from within the book that will help demonstrate something they can do in order to improve their life, improve their tennis?
Absolutely. There are just so many. I could probably spend an hour on that, but more than that. But I think the most important thing is I liked, and which helped me, was positive affirmations. That was like my favorite part, because that was actually something that helped me when I played tennis. So when I was playing tennis, junior tennis, I remember the simplest things of speaking positive words to myself every single day, every morning, is so powerful. We don't realize how much we have negative thought and talk every day. I mean, to this day, I have trained my mind that as soon as that negative voice comes in, boom, I'm just like, no way. And I switch it to positive. So positive affirmation, saying, I can do this, I can win this. It's a sensory input to allow ourselves to be able to carry out an action. It allows ourselves to be able to win. And I think a lot of times we don't allow ourselves. We don't really, I don't even, that's what the whole book is about, is our own thoughts interfering with our success. And so the book, so I think if we can tell the kids or junior kids trying to win, like your kids, if you say every morning, you say, and this is what I spend a lot of time doing, because I've got into habit of winning in my own little local sphere, like in the Southern Tennis Association. But I would tell myself, I'm gonna have an amazing serve. I have a great forehand. I'm gonna move my feet. I am number one. I am a champion. I would say that all the time to myself. It allows you to win, and it kind of brainwashes you to be that person. Because sometimes, like I heard someone roll their eye the other day, and I don't remember who it was. I don't want to remember who it was. Maybe someone in the family saying, "Oh, that's so stupid." And that word stupid is so powerful, because all of a sudden I saw my thought. I watched it. All of a sudden that word came into my head, and it came again. And I talked to myself, that's not accurate. I'm in control of my thoughts, and I'm going to change that thought process. So very important to keep that positivity we generated, so our actions are positive. So positive affirmations are really important. Spending a few minutes every morning saying positive things, and that even leads to visualization of winning. So all of those, that's very powerful for, I think, tennis. And then there's another one. I love the hard work component to it, because there's no end to hard work. And there's an example where, I love how there's so many examples, like Venus and Serena are doing, like they're driving over here from California to Rick's Academy, and they're doing like shadow strokes in the street. They're not stopping their tennis because they're working that hard. Nobody can understand that concept of hard work, and it's beyond imaginable. There's no end to it, and the only person that limits us is ourselves. We ourselves. Like today, I had somebody. I came from Orlando to Boca, and I had someone driving me. And I asked her, she asked me, can you give me a hint on this book? Can you give me a practical tip? And I said, well, what do you want? She's like, I want to get this job. I said, well, you have to practice your interview skills. And she's like, oh, I got to get a course. I said, no, in YouTube, you have it. You can do it while you're driving. The only person stopping us is ourselves. She's not able to manage that. So a lot of times we ourselves stop ourselves with our own thoughts. And it's incredible how much, if we let ourselves win and let ourselves be number one and let ourselves achieve, we can do a lot.
Let me chime in here a little bit. People, I give a speech every day at 10 o'clock after the academy, before fitness, and it's as much for the parents as the kids. And it's all about perspective, the way they look at the world, okay? Because we like Dr. Niv said, we let everything influence us. We control the situation. We cannot let it control us. It's all perspective. We are aware, most people, maybe what we put on our mouth, but we're not aware what we put into our head. What you hear, what you read, what you see on TV, social media. There's so many things that infiltrate, and it's tough to kind of monitor that. And I try to tell people every day, you want to have these things written down. You want to look at positive things. You want to go on YouTube, listen to motivational speakers. It's a habit. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, positive. You got to change the attitude. Because listen, I've done this for a long time, not just tennis, but people in business or other people in high level NFL, NBA, hockey, you name it. The best of the best of all the rest, they're the most positive creatures that ever walked the face of the earth. That's the cornerstone. Or they wouldn't even be there. That she said that earlier. They wouldn't even be there. But you got to rewire. Everybody thinks our brain is controlling us. We're controlling it. It's all backwards. It's all backwards. That's what people don't understand. And it's mindset. And that's why people, when I teach them or they're around, Rick Macy Tennis Center, this place is like Disneyland and Candyland here in Boca, with all the energy that comes out of it and the hundreds of motivational signs, people, they want that because people let so many other things affect them, and at this stage of my life, I'm almost bulletproof. It's all how I look at things. Nothing really bothers me, and 100 things a day could, but nothing bothers me. I still care, and I get a better result because I just stay on track. But that takes mind control, and that's what I try to help a lot of parents teach the kids and the kids to think differently. And I can have probably more impact on a lot of these kids than their parents because it's a different voice. And I'm not teaching them. I'm not just changing a stroke. I'm changing a life. And that's kind of what I do. And when people come back, whether it be Christian Rude, who I taught, Casper's dad, or all these people that I've worked with, they don't talk about the forehand or the backhand or the serve or the volley. It's like the work ethic. They say some of my own quotes. Even Capriati, when she made the comeback down there at the Miami tournament, was the Lipton. She started quoting things that I told her. Winner finds a way, loser makes an excuse. All these little gold nuggets that I tell the kids when they come back, that's the best feeling in the world because I know that I've made a difference in someone's life.
Brilliant. Love it. Could just listen all day, guys. I might just forget about my questions. I'm just loving listening to this. But what I love the most is that, and it's kind of the essence of the book here is, if there are people out there who struggle with being positive or players struggle with being positive in difficult situations, the book is great, both for the parent and the player and for the coach to understand because it's full of techniques of how you can be positive, of how you can flip things, of how you can master the mental side of it. Rick, another area I loved, when I heard you talking about, it was being asked who your favorite pupil is. And they were, is it Serena? Is it Venus? Is it Andy? Is it Maria? But you said your favorite pupil is always the one who is on the other side of the net. We have a lot of coaches listening. Can you explain why this is?
Well, my favorite student of all time right now is next to me. It's Dr. Niv. I got to say that because she's next to me. No, I'm kidding. No, listen. No, you got to understand. It's all the way. It's all the way I've always been. It's not Venus, Serena, Capriati, Roddick, Moschina, Pierce, Kennan, Rude, Bethany Maddox Sands, Alami. I could go on and on. Darwin Blanche, who's going to be like the next star, I think, on the ATP tour. It's who's ever on the other side of the net, that hour, that minute, that second. And that's the way I've always felt. Some people, whether I'm teaching you or I'm teaching the number one 80-year-old guy in the United States, okay, which I do, okay, and the guy hit the ball flat like Jimmy Connors, and in 5 minutes, I flipped the script and he's like born again. He goes, whoa, Rick, I've never hit topspin in 65 years. So that's just the way I've always done it. And when you have that mindset, and listen, I could have traveled. I could just work with pros. I work with about 30, and they come in with their coaches. I work with the best kids in the world. I tell everybody, the hamburger, the cheeseburger, the filet, the quarter pounder, I work with everybody. So, but that's the way I feel. And I think that's a sign of being professional, having pride in yourself, expecting more from yourself, instead of just saying, I only want to work with this person or that person. And to take it further, I got to bring this up because you said coaches are going to hear this. You know, one guy came up to me and he was working with a girl like, 5 in the state of Florida. This is a while back. And she had a temper and she'd throw her racket and, she had a bad attitude, but she took lessons, and they could afford to. And he said, Rick, I don't want to work with her anymore because she has a bad attitude. And I said, okay, here's the game plan. That's why I want you to work with her even more, because that's your job, to not have her have a bad attitude. And you can start talking about the parents or this or that. You look at it as a challenge. I like the ones that are sometimes a little crazy, have a temper, they're lazy. I get them to be the fastest. That's the challenge of a coach. Not everybody's going to say, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Run for every ball like Venus did, be the perfect student. That's easy. Okay. The sign of a great coach is that anybody, anytime, anywhere who's ever on the other side of the net, that hour, that minute, that second, if that's not your best student, okay, you're really cheating the game. And more importantly, you're cheating yourself.
Love that. I absolutely love it. And I get it. And what's like in my coaching world, where I've gone into schools and things, often the pupils I love working with the most are the ones who are lurking in the shadows, who come out via tennis and find themselves via tennis and find a passion. And it's not that they're going to go on and be a Wimbledon champion, but they've found something that they enjoy that brings joy to their life. And so, yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. I really do. And then
people are surprised by that, because listen, there's been over 300 national champions. We're just talking about the window dressing, those people that became number one, or I work with them. You got to understand, that's the way I feel. That's just the way I feel. And so when your student can feel that, that's how you extract greatness. I'm just telling you, that's how you motivate, educate. That's what it's all about. But that's a mindset and a habit and an expectation of yourself.
It's fantastic. And I mean, Dr. Niva, in terms of, we've just been talking about the mental side and how some players, some juniors struggle with that mental side, but it's the coach's job to try and help them through that, to learn self-control, to learn positivity. But, in terms of learning how to handle pressure, control their emotions, you don't see junior players working on it like they work on the repetitions of the cross-court forehand. Dr. Niva, how much time should, junior performance players be spending on mastering their minds?
As I said, I think that I agree. I love this question, because mind control is equally, or if not more important than tennis technique, because there's no way any professional athlete or any number one in the world can achieve that status without having a strong mind and having mind control as well as positive thoughts. And the reason why I was just saying is that it's because when there are challenges outside one's control, and if the mind is not under control, if there's no mental strength, the person's already lost before they can showcase their talent. There's just no way. And so I think mind control and spending time on mental strength is more important, in my opinion. And you have to have a good game. That's a no-brainer. Yeah. But there's no way you can be number one in the world without that. Yeah. It's so important. Yeah.
No, okay. This is kind of my wheelhouse. So I'm going to unpack a lot of stuff here. Okay. First off, if you don't have the ability to remember, to forget, okay, you're not going to be good at hardly anything. So let alone sports, let alone tennis, where you're by yourself. That's why you see people are better in doubles, because they got a therapist on the court. They miss a shot, they hug, they kiss, they high five, and it's gone. That emotion, that's went out the window. Where in singles, it sticks to you like Velcro sometimes. And you can almost go to a junior tournament and say, he's winning, he's losing, she's winning. You can almost see it. So what I try to do is not only educate the parents, but the kids. I try to give them all these things to do. You got 20 seconds, like it happened 20 years ago. You go back to the fence. You don't come out until you're ready and you feel amazing about yourself. And you get them to be in a routine so they become a machine. And no one was more like that than the great Maria Sharapova. This little girl at 11 was in a bubble when I had her. Had limitations, but that mental box was checked. Kind of like Sophia Kenin when I had her at 7, the scariest little creature I ever taught. So that being said, you want to tell the players, what do you want to do? And they say, I want to be a pro, or I want to be great, whatever their dreams are. Copy Nadal, copy Federer, copy the Joker, copy Iga. Look how they are after each point. Don't listen to me or you, even though they should listen to me a little bit more, but look at them. Look what they do. Yes. They lose a point. Look how they handle it. Okay. No one's perfect. Everybody gets nervous. Okay. But they're never afraid. But look how they handle. Look at their body language. Look how they are. You want to be great? Look at greatness. That's the last time I looked. The best way to get smarter, be around smarter people. Okay. Just, the sports psychologist, that's a place, but that's, to my opinion, that's a little bit different. It's more cookie cutter. You want to be great? There's the picture. Imitate that guy. That's what Iga did about Rafa. Okay? Imitate it. It's hard to do because when something bad happens, you have a response go through your body. Okay? It's probably not the best response, but can you forget about it and move on and become bulletproof? Because if you hit the ball, I tell this to all the kids, if you were hitting against Alcaraz and you hit it in the net, you'd feel a certain way. And if you hit the ball into the net and you were hitting against a 7-year-old, you'd feel different. Why? Still went into the net. Okay, it's perspective. It's a perspective. It's how you handle stuff, and it's mind control. And to put a bow around it, and this is why I knew Roddick, there'd be a place for him on the Pro Tour. I didn't know if he'd win the US Open. When I had him at 12, he was #1 in the nation. But his thirst for competition was like no other. Anybody, anytime, anywhere. And this is what everybody has to understand. Any coach who's listening to this, it's not the biomechanics and footwork and all that. That's important. But if you can get your player to be the best competitor they can be, run for every ball. If you're not afraid to fail, you're going to succeed. If you're not afraid to lose, you're going to win more. You don't start off in the quarters. You got to work your way through it. You got to teach them to become the best competitor. And from that, you will handle pressure better. And that's why I took a chance on Venus and Serena. I saw there was a rage in these 2 little girls, okay, like no other. It wasn't because, I thought maybe they're going to be 6 feet tall, 5'11". That was the icing. But inside, when you are that competitive, you're going to handle pressure better. And that is the mental strength. If you want the one amazing gold nugget, you got to train yourself to love that. Okay. But if you're all about competition and you just love to compete, even if you're getting crunched like a bug, 6-0, 3-0, could you still be loving it? Most people would say no. Okay. But if you're all about the competition, yes. And that's what it's all about. So hopefully the coaches out there can grab onto this, and that's the leader in the clubhouse.
I wanted to add to that because I was thinking, how many players have you seen that may have amazing technique, amazing footwork and athleticism, but you don't hear about them? How many? I've seen a lot of them playing out there. They're great. And you're like, they've never made any name. And then you see players who are maybe great, but they may not be perfect, but they have excellent mental strength. And they're the ones, that you hear about.
Absolutely. And the people listening, and the kids have to understand. I ask the kids all the time, how many of you guys have lost the match to people and you have a better forehand, a better backhand, and a better serve? And you're going, how did I lose to that guy 6'2", 6'2"? Because he runs, he fights, he sweats. Exactly. But the next point, he's there every time, and that's a big thing. And that's a staple, the people you see at the highest level on TV. But you can't just look at them, she has a bad serve, or she can't volley, or we look at that. But to get to that level, what's inside those players, they're bulletproof. And then when you get to people like Djokovic or wherever, that's just rare air, you know. And I'm sure when he's retired, he'll tell all his secrets. That's a whole different animal.
But Rick and I can speak from experience, because Rick played matches and won matches even with broken wrists, you know, like he's just like that.
I was down a break. I was literally down a break. You're right. That was back in the day.
I
was down a break.
Literally.
Literally. Yeah, I can tell you,
Guys.
Rick, I didn't really have the best technique. I struggled a lot and tried to learn it on my own, but I was always winning because I had the focus. Like one time I played almost semifinals of nationals, and like my knee was bleeding, and I'd fallen on the clay and it was bloody. And I still never forget that point where it was match point. And I still with a bloody knee I won the point, just because of that mental strength and focus. It does not matter sometimes how talented you are, and mental strength, I think, wins. So your answer is that I think mental wins over everything else. And
this what I love about this though is, like, I don't know how it is around the world, but I guess that in a lot of programs there is not a focus on developing mental strength, resilience, the ability to forget and go again. Yet it is so important. And that's why, coming back to the book, you know, in terms of parents, coaches, helping players, this is how, you know, and some people will be fortunate enough that maybe they can work with a sports psychologist or they access a sports psychologist or whatever. But for those of the players who can't, you know, reading $1 Billion Mind, and just, I think the parent, the player, they're going to come out with it with some very practical and inspiring ways of being able to develop the mental strength that you guys have just been talking about. Yeah. I mean, in terms of Rick, I know, like, you must have come across an awful lot of tennis parents of all different sorts of shapes and sizes.
I'm the leader in the clubhouse. I should be in the Hall of Fame just for putting up with those parents. Forget what I've done. I mean, I'm the leader in the clubhouse for the parents. But ask the question. Go ahead.
Oh, it makes me laugh. I mean, but basically, I mean, you must have seen the most incredible things in terms of tennis parents. But if you could give one top tip to tennis parents of aspiring juniors, what would it be?
Always remember there are kids first and tennis players second. And it's the hardest thing to do. You know, it can create, you know, problems in the family. I mean, people just get out of control. You know what I'm saying? It's a junior development. It's not junior final destination. It's not where you start. It's where you finish. You know what I'm saying? And that's why, you know, I became best friends with Richard Williams. He was teaching life lessons all the time. He was a great father. Okay. Once again, I should be in the Hall of Fame, put up with that guy, you know, but listen, some of the best coaching is keep your mouth shut. You know what I mean? And just live another day. So that's what people have to understand, you know? So, but no, that would be the biggest thing. And if I could give one motivating advice, they should always try to inspire their kid. But unfortunately, some didn't play sports. They don't understand. They're learning on the job. You know, it's easy to start coaching a kid. You hit it in the net, aim higher, you hit it long, more topspin. They become the coach. You know, we know the drill. But to inspire their kid and get them to believe, you know, because as they develop, you know, their mind will be able to reason more. Some of these kids, the brain's not even developed. It's some people not at 40, you know, it's not developed, but the brain takes longer to develop, and they reason and they mature and they handle things like all of us differently. And I always tell the parent, well, what would you have felt at 12 years old? Do you think he hit that in the net on purpose? And I'll say it, you know, and they just go bang, bang. They're just stuck in their tracks because they're so far over here. They don't, I go, he didn't do it on purpose. I said, it was a positive error. It's going to go in down the road. He missed that because he needs to grow 2 inches and gain 10 pounds. I just present it so differently. But that would be the parents. It's not where you start, it's where you finish. You know, your goal should be try to go to college, to get the best college scholarship, pros icing on the cake, you know, and this thing changes. When people grow, they get bigger, they get stronger, they get more mature. I can tell you so many people, I could list 100 people right now that were #1 in the United States in the 12, and you never heard of them. Or I can name 20 right now, #1 in the world. And ITF at 18, you never heard of them. And I can tell you many people who have never won a national title here in the United States, you know, and they're top 10 in the world or top 20 in the world, you know, and everybody matures later. Work hard, have a great attitude, you know, support your kid, inspire them, because tennis is only a little microscopic piece of what the kid's going to do their whole life.
I love this. I love this. I think, you know, I spend my life around tennis parents, and the vast majority, you know, well, they're all, everyone's striving to do their best, but it's a difficult job. And I just think if people can listen to this guidance, I will try and spread this guidance as far as wide as I can within the UK tennis parent circles and beyond, because human first, child first, you know, you see some of these kids who are giving everything, and, you know, they don't get necessarily positive reactions from parents. And yet at home in their bed, they've got teddy bears because they're so young that they're still, you know, at that stage. It's like, oh, Rick, that's good to hear. How about you, Dr. Niva? What would your tip be if you had a tip for tennis parents? What would you think?
100%. I have a lot of tips for tennis parents. So I can tell you one thing I learned, and from my own personal experience, is that sometimes tennis parents think that the kids really love the game when they really don't. And we're not open. Tennis is so narrow. We just like tennis, it becomes an addiction. And parents are so addicted to their kid, and it becomes a routine, you know, and you don't listen to the kids. And I can tell you from firsthand, I was lucky that one of my kids was listening to Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi, you know, these are success coaches here in the United States. And one of them said at 4, like, I don't know. You know, I'm sorry, I'm going to disappoint you. And that was a big eye opener right there, because I was doing everything in the world to kind of say, okay, well, maybe it's a coaching, maybe it's a technique, maybe they need to get off their iPad, maybe they need more motivation, and it's the wrong path. And this book really helps, because it's like, what is it that our minds like to do when no one's watching, when no one's grading, when there's no money, when there's no award towards it? What do we love to do in our free time? And that's really key.
Yeah.
And finding that about a child, understanding what they love to do, and then you'll find geniuses beyond your imagination. Kids are very talented, very gifted in their field. It may not be tennis. So just be open-minded as a parent, and you'll see so much. It's
so true.
Another thing about the book, real quick, there's probably 50 hours of private lessons in this book about the mental game from Rick Macci. You know, just how to look at things differently, and you know, it's mindset. And that's the first thing I got to do. If I have a talented kid with great hands and great feet, it's not going to matter unless I can get him to think and act like a champion at a young age. And the influence and the ripple. Here's what's crazy. The ripple is they get better grades. They clean their room. They might get off drugs. Whatever the deal is going on, they have different friends. This cascades in so many different directions. The way I try to do it, and what's in the book. And you asked earlier about how much time. It's really individualized, but the coaches need to spend more time and give concrete ways to go about, you know, teaching the mental game, because kids don't like to do anything like that, or visualization, or they don't want to even do those. They'd rather run, sweat, hit a million balls, and think they're going to be famous by Friday. It ain't going to happen. Okay. It's not going to happen. They got to work on it. And when people listen to every single word that I say and put it in their journal, I know one thing, whether it's tennis or whatever, they're going to be the best they can be.
Oh man, come on. I love that. And I think, you know, right aside next to you, you've got someone who's lived that journey and who's gone on to be a real prominent neuroscientist, who's been to, I think it was Harvard, wasn't it? And got an incredible degree. You know, it's the life journey that tennis can play a part in the education that is the tennis court. I mean, Dr. Niva, I've got to ask you, because I think, to be honest, we've had a shed load. I guess that's a bit UK colloquial, quite a lot of Macyisms within this interview, which is amazing. But you must have heard so many over the years. You must have heard so many that Rick is famous for. So, what is your favorite Macyism, Dr. Niva?
I love that because I used to, whenever I come to the academy, I would see the Macyisms and they would ignite this enthusiasm for me to do better at work. And so I don't know, it just focused. I love them. They're just, I can think of a million, but I like, my favorite one is this one, think big, be big. And the reason why I like that is because we are as big as our biggest thought. That is the most important. It's so profound. We are as big as our biggest thought, our greatest thought. So our thoughts, if they're lofty and big and they have big dreams and goals, we're going to get there, and we're going to work hard towards getting there. We're going to reach for the moon, and who knows where we land, but we're going to get to that level.
Starts with the dream.
It starts from the thought, and we have to think big and be big. And if we don't, if we're thinking small, as small as people, some people are thinking very small, and for me, I love that because then it just encourages me to think, okay, outside the box. What is my dream? What is my dream life? What is my ideal life? What is I want to do in the world? And if we can think bigger and our thoughts get bigger, we're going to become bigger. So very important.
Come on. Love it. Love it. It's a great example. Coming back to the music, like there was this song when I was about 16, and I remember the lyric to this day. It was a real positive song. And the lyric was, believe in yourself, you know what you'll find. There's no fault in a trouble-free mind. And it's like, it's stayed with me all the time. It's like, and when I needed the positive uplift, like I would play that song because belief, and I've got to say, like the book, there's so many Rick Macyisms dotted through the book. It's a theme that goes through, but each one, if you start in the day with some positive affirmations and reading these little quotes, I guarantee that they are going to help you. They are going to help you. Now, Rick, there's an infographic out there from Tennis Canada, and it says that 70% of kids quit sports before they turn 13 for the primary reason they aren't having fun. We kind of touched on this earlier, but I think it would be like if you were put in charge of sport around the world, how would you address this statistic?
Well, I think you just hit on the head. I think at the end of the day, if you're not having fun and enjoying this thing, okay, that's going to lead to, like you said, burnout. But I think the parents burn out because the kids are losing or not having the success that they have, and then create an environment, whether it be at home or around the kid, and that leads to this. But to answer your question, okay, it has to be manageable, that it's not too difficult, and you got to go through the progressions. But I think the coaching part of it, the way people would teach the kids, and everybody's at a different level, you have to inspire and motivate and keep it so fun and not cutthroat. There's many different levels, but everybody wants to get to the mountaintop. They want to take the escalator. We all know we got to take the stairs. This is a journey. And it's more of that. It's fun. And when people, even Bernthal said this in the movie, one of his best coaches of all time, that they made it fun. They were serious. Games and bets and tricks. A perfect example is this. We can go 3 hours. The kids are dead tired. Okay. They can't do anything more. And I say, okay, we're going to play tag. Okay. That's where you run and you tag people and you freeze them. And there might be 6, 8 kids. No one's tired anymore. They're laughing and they're running and juking and shaking and baking and twisting and shouting. It's crazy, and instead of getting a fitness coach out there and they're doing sprints and, burpees and they're doing jumping, all this insanity, I get them. It's probably more beneficial because they're using their mind and they're being creative. And, Venus and Serena love to do tag with the other kids. The problem is when Serena tagged someone, she had a closed fist. So I said, whoa, we're not competent. You got to tag them with their hand open. So, but at the end of the day, that's a perfect example, okay, where you have to make things fun, but still productive. And that's in the eye of the beholder. And you ask her what her favorite quote was, the Macyism. Mine is easy, and it's what you may see is different than Rick may see.
Come on. But I do think, like, you know, if there was more people playing tag in this world would be a better place. You know, I'm not just talking about the kids, the adults. Get these politicians playing tag.
They ask me every day, we playing tag. Either they want to get out of doing sprints, but they're doing actually more agility, stopping, starting, little steps, imagination, thinking, anticipation, and it's fun. And they're doing it with other kids. People, it's so vanilla, but it's the best vanilla in the world.
And
Do you know?
Sorry
Go ahead, Doctor.
One of the things is after your lessons, he doesn't say this, but he's always giving little kids something like a T-shirt or a hoodie. And they're just laughing. They have so much fun. They're like, gonna go get a hoodie. They love that little bit of a prize or some sort of gift. And I think that also makes it a lot of fun, including the music. So it's just a great environment.
Brilliant. Yeah. Brilliant. Come on. Oh, it's great. I know it's really interesting, actually. Like the tournament I was at last week with my son, and we went to a swimming pool after play had finished with 3 of his mates. And all they did in that swimming pool, I was the parent, like, keeping an eye as some of the others were like checking in and stuff. And they all just played tag. It was all they did in the swimming pool. They played tag and they absolutely loved it, you know, and it shows that competitive side, that fun side, that running through the water. It's probably another workout. I'm not sure that's what they need after a hard day's tennis, but just to your point, Rick, that's what they wanted to do.
Absolutely. You know, and that tired part that we just talked about, that's all mental too. Tired's all mental. You feel it, but that doesn't mean you have to be tired. I tell people all the time, will you run 10 laps around the court? And they go, if they say no, I said, would you do it for $1,000? They go, absolutely. I said, well, you got it backwards. If you run the 10 laps, maybe one day you'll win an extra $1,000. So everybody has it backwards. You know what I mean? So the tired part's unacceptable, and everybody has more inside of them. And that's the art of coaching, okay? To push, but to push delicately. And real quick, I got to tell this story. Now that you got me going. Okay, it was 90 degrees in Florida, 2 o'clock. Venus and Serena were practicing. It was near the end of practice. Serena was in the tank, okay? Years old, 90 degrees, very humid. Like a frog would go across the court. He couldn't even make it. That's how hot it was. And I said, Serena, you got to move your feet. And she looked at me, you know, like that look she gives everybody at the US Open back in the day. She goes, why? I said, you say you want to be number one. She goes, I will be number one. Okay. I said, well, what I got to do to get you to move your feet? Okay. She goes, Rick, I'm really hungry. She was always hungry as a kid. Okay. She goes, hey, Scott, that was one of the coaches, go to the snack machine. I want some hot curly fries, a Snickers bar, and a Pepsi. And on the way to work, Daddy drove by a stand and they were selling Green Day t-shirts. If you get me the Green Day t-shirt, the Snickers bar, the Pepsi, and the curly fries, you see that girl over there? Because Venus was on the next court. She goes, I'll make that a tall, skinny girl look slow as molasses. I said, hey, Scott, go get the curly fries, the Snickers bar, the Pepsi. Tomorrow you got to get the Green Day t-shirt. So we brought all the goodies back. Serena went under the canopy, had her snack. Listen to this. She's hitting cross court and down the line. One of the hitting partner was 450 in the world. The guy never missed a ball. He could beat her 0-0 in like 20 minutes. The sweat is pouring off this little girl, okay, like Niagara Falls. No water, okay, 1 hour straight. I'm on the other court with Venus. It got to be like 3:15. She goes, hey, Rick, it's 3:15. And you better have that Green Day t-shirt here in the morning, okay? But here's the moral of that story. She was in the tank. We already practiced 5 hours. The practice was over. Richard was gone, okay? He wasn't there. And I got this girl to hit 4,000 more balls, quality, and it just took that mental strength meter up another notch. One more gold nugget in the little Compton comment.
Come on. Come on, I love it. It's so cool. Really like these stories. Thank you so much. I mean, we are getting towards the end, guys, but I think one I'm really intrigued at, because I know pickleball increasingly massive in the United States of America, big in the UK, big around the world. But how about you guys? What are your thoughts about pickleball?
Want to go?
Yeah. Obviously, it's not tennis; it's a pseudo tennis, and so people feel like they're playing. It's beneficial for a lot of my patients who have nerve damage or they're overweight, they can't move. So they come back and say, Dr. Sharon, I didn't play tennis, but I played pickleball. So I tried that. So they get the exhilaration of having trying to hit a ball over a net, and they have the ability to play with friends and colleagues and have that social environment, and they don't have to move. So it limits that footwork. It's hard for me to ever get on a pickleball court. You'll never see me in a pickleball court. I don't think I don't think I could play that. But I could say that it's great for people who have limited mobility. So it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, listen, I think it's great. It's people can get exercise, they get competition, they get outside, they move around. It's easier than tennis. You can just it's like advanced ping pong, except the ball's a little louder. We have 6 pickleball courts here at the park, and we have all kinds of camps now and then. I don't teach it, okay, but I think it's great because especially when older people, it's just another venue for them to get exercise. And if they love it and they enjoy it, then everybody wins. So I'm all for it.
Come on. I knew you guys would give a nice positive answer because I know that's who you are. I've read the book. Guys, thank you so much for your time. I've got a final question for both of you. It's a question we ask guests who come onto the podcast. If you could go for a drink with anyone, alive or dead, who would it be and why? Dr. Niva first.
Oh, I think you know that answer. That would be with Rick. I really enjoy his company, and I would spend time. I love every minute because I'm always learning things from him, and very positive. He might have a foot pain or a back, who knows what kind of pain, doesn't even say it. So I'm like, wow, if you have such a benchmark of someone like that, and he eats like 5 items a day. He doesn't go to, he doesn't drink. So I don't know if that question is valid. But I mean,
dinner, not the drink.
But it's still 5 items for 30 years. It's the same thing. So much motivation in my mind. I'm like, oh my gosh, this benchmark, this is like incredible. It's like a machine. A human being, he just eats the same thing and thinks positively every day and so strong mentally and does his exercise and runs every morning. I have no excuse.
I'm gonna have to give her a hoodie. Okay, she's working.
Yay!
Hoodie.
That's the kind of stuff I love. That sort of motivation and always being able to, there's no limit. I say sky's limit. Sky is not a limit. It's beyond the sky. So there's no limit.
No, first up, I love the question. I'm just one of the guys. Okay, even though I've had success and stuff like that, I'm such one of the guys and very approachable, and I don't really look at things. I'd like to meet that guy or do that or stuff like that. It's the person to my left here. Okay, this is why we do this. We're going to do many more books, together, and that would be it. I would say my cat. I have a cat here that I've actually trained. The cat listens to me more than some of my students, but I don't know if I could take him to dinner. I just take him for some cat food. But it would be Dr. Niv. It wouldn't be. That would be it. That would be it. That's from my heart.
Love it. I love it. And the thing is, I mean, I'd like to be there with you guys. Genuinely, I so enjoyed chatting that. And I honestly would. I'd love to be there with you and talk more about tennis, the live, talk about the book, and I'll make sure the links to the book are all over the podcast and the website and everything. And it is such a great read. And if anyone has listened today and come out of it thinking, you know what, maybe that mental side of tennis or maybe bringing a positive approach to life is something that I could look into a little bit, then I highly, highly recommend $1 Billion Mind, and I really hope that people will read and learn and enjoy because yeah, well done, guys. And you make a great partnership. You see that in the book, you see that today. So I'm so grateful for you guys for finding the time. And yeah, and I'm very pleased that Rick's cat did join us on the camera as well.
I told you, he just we're inseparable.
Rob, you are amazing. You know, he actually read the book.
Yeah.
Dave sent us pictures, and you found the positivity in this book. You found what we're really looking for. Is that in tennis, it's a lot about mental strength. We really don't have a book focus for that. So it's incredible. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Just a wonderful person. If you're coming ever to Florida, you let us know. We'll see.
Do you know, I would love to. I would love to come see you guys.
You guys know? Do you know what the Battle of Boca is? Where there's a tournament here
No.
Saturday.
No, we have like 85 tournaments here a year. A $10,000 tournament every weekend. You know, it's I mean, Shelton played it 2.5 years ago. And we got everybody, and we have a lot of 25,000s here besides the academy. There's something for everybody.
We will look it up. We would love to come and see you in Florida, and yeah, that'd be amazing. So, but guys, thank you so much. I hope you'll have an amazing day, and thank you for your time. And yeah, I can't wait. I will be reading the book again.
All right, thank you so much. We'll do it again.